got an absolutely beautiful river, Maigue, in Limerick. This river means so much to so many different communities in different ways. I think rivers, they're that connection. They connect communities, develop relationships, develop interests. They're almost like arteries going through the countryside, and they're something that can bring people together. Take the time to go down the river in a kayak and really experience the river.
Just going around the corner and just finding a stretch where you see absolutely no other life, no other people, birds singing, and nature at its best.
If you look at the bottom of a river, you'd think nothing was happening, but if you take that time to collect the invertebrates, you'll see everything and the whole ecosystem down there.
When you just cross the river on a bridge, you would just think it's just water running down to the sea, and there is a lot of life in and around the river, which yes, it's worth caring about. Keeping.
In the glory days, this was a phenomenal river for salmon fishing and trout fishing. It was world famous. That's no longer the case, sadly. The salmon have declined dramatically, and the river has, it's been changed a lot by arterial drainage, and you've got the impact of poor water quality and so on.
This has been one of the best salmon rivers in Ireland over the years. We had some tremendous years up to maybe 83, 84, the river didn't start to decline, Our fly life has been decimated, a lot of our fish, on the river. So without that, if we've pollution, it means we've no fly life. We've no fly life, we've no fish.
We're all sort of culpable, I suppose. We've been complacent about rivers. We treat them as somewhere to get rid of excess water, or God forbid as drains, to get rid of waste.
I'm on the board of Maigue Rivers Trust. I've managed for a number of years now, representing the landowners on that, so the farmers and people who own property along the river. What I have strived to achieve anyway, and I think what I have achieved, or we have achieved with everyone on the board, is that to work with the farmers in cooperation and with the landowners along the river. Rather than, there's enough bodies and organisations going in trying to implement and trying to impose decisions on landowners, rather than working with the landowners and find out what the landowners believe and what the landowners want to achieve. Because you will find, if you talk to the people along the river, that they know more about the river and they want more for the river than people who are coming in from outside saying this is what you should do here and that's what you should do here. And at the end of the day, the landowners have the final say. They have the first and final say in what happens on their land along by the river. So, you're better off working with them and listening to them, and I think you achieve more that way.
People have been living here for thousands of years and farming here and so on. So there's not much natural habitats and biodiversity left, except for the rivers. The rivers are really one really important resource for biodiversity. So what we want to do is a trust, and the trust hasn't been here for very long. In 2017 it was established formally. We want to improve the habitat for biodiversity, for the fish, for the animal life, for the plant life and so on. And we want to spread the message, it belongs to the people.
We had a fabulous day, and they were looking for people to come and view what was in the river, and they got their nets and brought back what was in the river. So you saw all these little animals and little beetles. It was fabulous to see it, just to get children interested and to get even local interested in the river. The rivers that are just running through their farms and their locality. And it's beautiful just to let them know what the Maigue River Trust are doing to keep the rivers alive and good for the benefit of all, really.
Like we're fishing here on the Maigue. Today we're doing this here, casting demonstration today for young and old on the River Maigue and the banks of the Maigue, and there's great enjoyment there to go out and to teach other people, pass on to other people there what you've learnt over the years in fishing for salmon and trout.
Like that, look, it will go around the rock. So what you do is like that, look, it's gone around the rock. See?
Dave was explaining to me there was that each piece on each bait represents a different part of the mayfly's life, and the fish is interested at different stages. And I was saying to him, I see all the mayflies skating on the river, but I don't see any fish coming up for them. But he told me the fish wait until the evening time when the mayfly, the female, has mated, and then they're full of eggs, and so they're more nutritious for them then. And that's why they wait till the evening time, the fish, to come up for them, because they have more protein. Isn't that amazing?
It's about amenity, recreation, and working together to see what we can do to improve access and also to keep the rivers safe.
The inside of the face here and the back. Okay, so for forward kayaking, forward paddling, what we're doing is we're having our paddle blade on the right facing up into the sky. We're putting our paddle into our...
So we have organised these kayaking tours as part of the strategy, I guess, to encourage people to come along, and everyone enjoys it tremendously.
I suppose the little weirs made it interesting. There's some nice drops in it, so it's really good. First time on the Maigue, so we'll have to come back.
It's a whole new world for me today on the river. What I look at every day, but now sitting on the river and looking at it in a different way and coming down towards my house and coming down towards Croom, yeah.
People want this. They ask, when are you going to do it again? We know that people will care for something that they have personal experience of doing something. That it's not theory, it's not something out of their reach. This makes it very much a tangible thing they're part of. And without experiencing nature, you never really fully understand it. And providing people with those experiences, those happy memories, helps people care for the river in the long term.
I've seen otters swimming here, and it's really wonderful. There is so much life in this river still.
He's coming near the bank here. You can see there's a bit of a disturbance there, so I think he probably has a burrow or a holt, as it's called, down here, which is actually, the entrance to it will be at or just under the water level, and then kind of goes up into the bank. What he would be feeding on 2 years ago would have been crayfish. This whole river system here used to be a stronghold for the native crayfish, but unfortunately 2 years ago the crayfish plague got in here. People may have seen the signs up. That has affected other rivers in Ireland and it's wiped out crayfish, and unfortunately the same thing has happened here. So the crayfish have been wiped out essentially. They're probably surviving in some of the upper reaches, way up in the smaller streams possibly, but certainly down here and the other major tributaries, they're gone.
We're disinfecting the boats with Vercon to prevent the spread of crayfish plague. So when the boats move from an affected river, we don't want to be part of the spread.
That's another intervention that the Trust has done, and we've identified, I think, 6 or 7 ponds, small lakes or whatever, in which we could actually breed crayfish and then reintroduce them back into the river when the disease has burned itself out, which it does.
There is giant hogweed as we're going down. We've ran this now about maybe 4 or 5 years. We've never had a problem with it, but we just want to point it out. Try and stay away from maybe the river banks where it might be growing. If you do end up getting it on your hand, etc., just pop your hand into the water and rinse it off or wash it off.
Big problem with alien plants, particularly giant hogweed. Very difficult to control. It's going to take a long time. It's going to take the involvement of lots of different agencies and a lot of money. But There's one part of the catchment that we have, and that's the Morningstar River, where we're trying to actually eradicate it because it isn't too established there. And we got money to carry out a survey 2 years ago. We walked the length of it, 40 kilometres of it, to see where the giant hogweed was. It'll take maybe 5-6 years, constant work. We'll actually be able to eradicate it from the Morningstar. And I think that would be very significant, because if we did nothing, it would come all the way down on the river, down to Bruff, down to Atlacca, all the way down.
The landowners have given their permission to let the trust workers come onto the land and to work on the hogweed project.
We need funding to do it, because every year it's a bit of a challenge getting the funding. So far we've been very lucky. We've got it from various sources like LawPro, the Community Water Development Fund, the County Council and so on. So we have succeeded so far, but it is a constant struggle, but it's something that we're committed to doing over the next how many years it takes.
The way the Rivers Trusts are funded at the moment, it's all done on a very piecemeal fashion. You'll get a little bit of funding to do this little piece of work, you'll get a little piece of funding to do that piece of work, and it's year by year. There's no joined up thinking over where are we going to be in 5 years, where are we going to be in 10 years. It's left kind of as, we'll see for next year and we'll see for the year after that. So you can't plan into the future.
We're all volunteers except for our project officer. She, unfortunately, the funds will run out very soon, and we'll not be able to have a project officer, certainly full-time, anymore, and that is going to be a huge loss for us. It's been really the 3 years that we've had her have made a huge impact in terms of what we were able to do, and I think realistically we'll just have to scale back.
Like you try to move forward, and I've been involved with things before where you're waiting for something to happen and you're waiting for something to happen, and it paralyzes you. You have to keep moving forward, and you have to try and keep doing positive things, but it's very hard to plan long term if you're funded short term.
When you have that engagement with one person and they come over and they look in the invertebrates and they can see what's there and the different insects, and they take an interest, and that they walk away knowing something new about the river, I would say every engagement's worth it.
The rivers are actually really important reservoirs of biodiversity, treasures of biodiversity. Even now, looking in there now, there's a trout actually rising. It belongs to the people. It's not something that's just out there to be disregarded or abused or whatever. But it actually belongs to the people. It's a treasure, and it's all right.